Hello everyone, this is Ibrahim, and in this video we are going to continue what we've started in the last video. So in the very last video we have designed the app that we want to develop in Flutter. So as you can see, what we want to do now is just convert these screens to actual code that actually work in a mobile screen, in an actual mobile device. So we'll start working with the onboarding screens because I think these are very well, they're the very first thing to start with. So we'll start with off the base. So now before starting, we have to make sure that we have the development environment set in place. And it's very easy to get started with Flutter. The installation instructions, I'll not really go through these instructions in this video, but it's really straightforward. Like you choose the platform you need, and then you just download a zip folder you want to install. Just choose the path where you want Flutter to be, and just make sure you have the environment variables in place. Like everything, all the instructions are actually provided to you in the documentation. You can find flutter.dev. Yeah, and the other thing that you need, okay, aside from Flutter, you need the Android Studio in place because that's where you will be running your actual virtual. You put in a virtual device, and you have to have that in place. Just make sure that you have a device set up. So if I go to Android Studio, so I have Android Studio in place, and if I open it here, I already have it. So you just make sure that you have the that you load your actual project, your actual Flutter project. If you have any missing dependencies, Android Studio will actually have those installed for you. You'll be prompted to install those for you, those dependencies. Anyways, so the very important thing you have to make sure you have in Android Studio is that you have the virtual devices set up in place. You have an actual device set up, not an actual, but more like virtual devices, in which these tools, if you can find here, if you click in tools, so again, tools, AVD manager, and then this is what you'll get to see. This screen, this is what you see. You just create a virtual device, choose whichever device you like, and that's about it. Click on next, 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 and you'll be able to, and you'll create your own device, then which you can simply use later when you run any given project. That's that. What else? Yeah, after you have Android Studio in place, fire up Visual Studio Code. Well, it's recommended. I mean, it's the IDE that I would recommend. It's pretty good, especially when it comes to Flutter. They have really good support, and it seems like it works natively with Flutter. Anyway, so you can use whatever IDE you prefer. But for me, I mean, I always default to Visual Studio Code, so I would advise you to do the same, but it's your call anyway. So you have Flutter in place, you have Android Studio, and you have Visual Studio Code. Everything is good. So with the Visual Studio Code, we'll use it to actually code our application. Android Studio will run our application without the need of actually having a device. And of course, Flutter is the backbone. Okay, so Flutter Doctor would actually run like it would just diagnose the whole thing and track anything missing for you. Any missing dependencies would be detected for you. So everything is good. This is a connected device. It's not really a big problem. Next step we need to do is actually start an actual Flutter project. It's really simple, straightforward. So we just go Flutter and then create, and then just give a name to your project. In this case, let's call it so for the blood donation app, let's call it Katra. So Katra this is an Arabic word actually, and it means a drop. So I think we could name it that. Yeah, let's go ahead and name it that. So it's a blood donation app, so or we could just name it blood donation. Or just stick with Katra, it's fine. There we are. Hit enter. and Flutter will do the magic for you behind the scene. All done. Now if you view the folder, it's actually right here. So yeah, so Katra, you can see all the goodness. Now let's fire up Visual Studio Code and do everything from there. Okay, so it's this welcome screen, and this is what we have. Now, what's really important, what you should really know about Flutter is that this is super important if you want to add any dependencies to your project. So you can see there's this dependencies, and for now we will not be adding anything. We will not, but later in the later videos we will definitely add few goodness in here that will really simplify things for us. And the other important part that you should know is this under lib main, and this is where the actual stuff comes in. So it's just like, you know, how you, if you're familiar with what development usually have like a, if you name any file the index and you host it in some server, index is generally the default in your server. That's the first page the server reads. That's what it defaults to. That's the file it defaults to. With Flutter, main.dart is your default, so you can make all the necessary calls to your other components from this main.dart. Now, it might look like this code is scary, but it's not really scary in any way. But if you actually run this project now, or you know, let's see what the default application offers. So the way we do that, just make sure that we run the virtual device. Remember, this is actually obtained from Android Studio, and then you go to Tools, AVD Manager. This is what you'll see. Let me close this again. Just restart it just so you see AVD Manager, the device manager, and then from here you simply run the device you wish to run. I'll just run this one because it's pretty fast for now, just for demonstration purposes. So this is my emulator. So this is the emulator. Everything is fine. If you notice, the application that we've loaded here is still test app. We need to load the project we just created, which is Katra. We have to load the app here. So file, open project, file, open, and then load it from there. And then just choose Katra here. And this window doesn't matter. There we are. This is the project. If you notice here, there are no devices. Just make sure that this is selected, and this is usually enabled the moment you run the emulator here. Okay, so that's all you need to do. Now, in order for us to run the project, let me just try to minimize this one a little bit so that you can actually see what's going on. Just have this in right here. So in order for us to run this project, again, just make sure we do the two steps we've done. So from Android Studio, just make sure that you open up the emulator, and then this app project is actually loaded in Android Studio, and Android SDK built for x86 is actually selected. Now, if you go to run, you can run it without debugging. This might take some time, but you can see that it starts to launch. It takes a bit of time, so I just let it load on its own and fast forward. There we are. So you can see that you can open the DevTools here. It helps in, like, you know, assessing the performance and, you know, inspecting widgets within the app, but just avoid it for now. You could actually go through this on your own, but yeah, not now, later. Anyway, so this is the default app that ships with Flutter. The moment you create Flutter, create, and then the application name, this is what you usually get. This is the default. So this is basically just demonstrates simple. You have like a header here, like you have a header here, and then you have like a theme color here, and then you have text counter. If you press on +1, this keeps increasing like that. So this is a simple basic application, but we do not need this. So the fastest way for us to start is to delete everything, okay, and start from scratch. So this is the main.